Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater. And you know, Ghostbusters 2016 is really the gift that keeps on giving. It is absolutely, positively, fundamentally the gift that keeps on giving. You might be asking yourself, Matt, come on, it's been over 3 years. Why, or almost 3 years? Why is it that you care? Why is it that you just can't get excited for the next movie coming out in just under 14 months? And the truth of the matter is, it's yes to both. Because I still wanted the 2016 movie to be good. It just wasn't. And Chris Hemsworth right here was the best thing about that movie. I stand by everything I've said after seeing it, which is why Thor Ragnarok was as good as it was, why Infinity War and Endgame were like they were with him. He found his stride as Thor, and audiences ate it up. So much so that Chris Hemsworth is very much going back to Marvel saying, please extend my contract. Please extend my contract. Please, Kevin Feige, extend my contract, sir. Thank you. Please and thank you, sir. Please and thank you. But then again, when we talk about the subject here, why exactly is Chris Hemsworth being brought up a couple years later past Ghostbusters? Well, this article popped up on Variety today saying here, Chris Hemsworth reveals why he almost quit Ghostbusters. I'm not going to lie. I was like, wait a minute, Chris Hemsworth, sir, you were going to quit Ghostbusters? That's a little bit peculiar, isn't it? That's definitely one of those things where you're like, but why? Well, let's find out. So, according to the thing here, it says, in this week's issue of Variety, Hemsworth reveals that he almost quit the movie, directed by Paul Feig. The night before I was shooting, I almost pulled out, Hemsworth says. 3 or 4 weeks prior, Paul said to me, I'm going to write up the character, don't worry. And then I got the script and nothing had changed. His agent, Brian Lord, set up a last-minute meeting with Feig, who assured Hemsworth that there would be a lot to do through improvisation, saying here, I was really scared walking onto that set. I had no real plan, so I was just feeding off of them, and I felt ridiculous, so I used that. And the thing is, when you look at everything with Kevin's character, yes, ridiculousness was very much a large portion of that. Ridiculousness was a major portion of that. And no one out there, criticized his character as being a bad thing. In fact, if you talk to a lot of people who saw the movie, they oftentimes would say, yes, Hemsworth was clearly the best part. So the ridiculousness of it, the anxiousness of it, he was able to use in order to basically make, polish a turd, so to speak. But that also goes to show you how little planning there was about this movie, how little Paul Feig cared about any of it, right? And when you talk about the script, when he says here 3 to 4 weeks prior, Paul said to me, I'm going to change up the character, don't worry, and he got the script and nothing had changed. Well, it really does give even more credence and credibility to this. This is a screenshot from a Reddit thread from Stance 1984, a man who will forever live in infamy for those of us who discuss nerd culture here on the internet, because Stance 1984 dropped this tidbit way before the release of the movie back in 2016, saying, I've seen an early version of the new Ghostbusters movie, and it's as terrible as the trailer. And he goes through the entire plot of the film. We're talking the entire plot of the film that he put out there, matched up almost beat for beat, point for point, perfectly what leaked out of Sony's email hack from 2014, when Paul Feig had in fact pitched the movie to Amy Pascal before she greenlit it. This is the whole thing. What he had originally pitched in an email is what became the script, is what became the shooting script, is what even was the finished product, meaning that whatever Chris Hemsworth got his hands on in the beginning was clearly all they had written for the character, and they just wanted to wing it. Another reason why Paul Feig should never, ever, 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 ever reboot anything popular ever again. He prefers subversive comedy that speaks to its own audience, but not on an established fan base. And speaking of an established fan base, considering the backlash against this movie that ultimately cost Sony a lot of money in losses for it, Chris Hemsworth did kind of touch upon that, and it's not the best. He says here that he credits Ghostbusters with priming audiences to accept Thor's turn to screwball comedy in Thor Ragnarok and Avengers Endgame, which, again, as I pointed out at the beginning of this video, I've been saying that for years, so I was glad to see that I'm not the only one. But he goes on to say that he would like to have done a sequel, but he hasn't forgiven the online fanboys who viciously attacked the reboot, partly because the new stars were played by women. You gotta love that partly thing there. No one gave a crap that it starred women. Donald Trump said it at one point in time, but no one really cared about it. It was no one wanted it to be a reboot. They wanted it to be a continuation. If it would have been the four girls were in fact the daughters of the main guys and they had cameo appearances, no one would have cared. There would have been like a ton of money. Audiences would have said, okay, here you go. Shut up and take my cash. It's a new Ghostbusters movie. I'm excited to see it. That's what they would have been because that's all they wanted. That's why people are excited for Ghostbusters 2020 because it's like a sequel. Anyway, he says here, he says, that whole period, I was like, what ownership do you guys have over those characters? Oh, you watched the film, therefore you should have a say over where it goes. I thought it was very unfortunate and kind of disappointing. And the thing is, look, man, in many cases, fans can overreact, and I think we all can agree with that. But this is not one of those cases. The fans came out, saw the trailer, criticized the trailer. The next day, Sony of the UK changed the trailer in order to fix the error that they had in the very first trailer. And then never mind that, but they put in a whole scene in the movie where during the reshoots where they mocked the people who were giving them a hard time about the trailer. They shat on their fans. They turned a middle finger to the fan base. You never do that. Not in nerd culture. There's like the people remember. There are long memories for that sort of thing. And they never helped their cause anyway when they continuously mocked it. Even a few months ago, while promoting Can You Ever Forgive Me, Melissa McCarthy still doesn't understand that her words is what caused the movie to lose tons of cash for Sony. She still sits there and says that the men who criticize the movies live with their mothers in their basements and things like that. It's like, that's not the case. The movie wasn't good. It was a subversive comedy that was rebooting a near perfect classic. You don't do that. It's a terrible, terrible mistake, which is one of the reasons why a sequel never materialized and why we're all excited to see Ghostbusters 2020 when it comes out next year. I don't want Chris Hemsworth to think that look, the thing is, he probably doesn't know, to be honest with you, or he maybe does and doesn't care. I don't know, but I've covered this movie extensively for over 3 years. A few of us on YouTube have covered it as extensively as we could over the span of the last couple of years. We know the truth here. The truth is, it was never an attack on women. It was an attack on bad filmmaking that nobody wanted. But we all agree that Hemsworth was the best person to come out of that particular shit show. And I want to keep it that way. So I hope this is what he says about it. This is the first time he's ever addressed it. I hope he keeps it there. I hope he never mentions it ever again, because the last thing we want to do is turn into this big brouhaha over an actor probably not having the full information or choosing to back the studio that pays his checks. And considering that Sony is handling Men in Black International and that's his next movie, and this was also a Sony movie, he probably doesn't want to bite the hand that feeds him at that studio just yet. But anyway, your thoughts, your opinions, let me know down in the comments below. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a fantastic day and peace out. Hey, thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. But if you really want to help the channel, be sure to check out patreon.com/Matt Jarbo. There's $3 theater perks. Lots going to be going on with that, as well as the Facebook group, which is going to be only growing as time goes on. Anyway, thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.